the suspense and the countdown.
The same countdown every time, and it's like,
The same
ooh,
countdown.
what's it going to be this time?
I know. Here we are. Okay. So excited to be here. NASEF Farmcraft. At one point, this was a little spring season. Now we had spring. We said, we're not done yet. We're doing summer. We're going to do fall, which we'll talk about at the very end. But yes, super excited to have you join us. My name is Claire LeBeau. I am the Chief Advancement Officer for NASEF. I will say once what that acronym means. It is the Network of Academic and Scholastic Esports Federations. We leverage what kids love, which is video games and esports, and help them learn by playing. And our fantastic team over at CleverLike makes that happen in the best possible way.
That's what we do. We like doing that. We're fun. But, you know, like Brian says always, we sneak into vegetables. We want to make the learning fun. And, you know, I realized like this is the NASEF, these were our summer challenges. But I was looking at the teams that submitted, and for at least half of them, it's winter. So, because this is a global opportunity. So, you know, we're going to have to come up with some clever way to, you know, maybe the names of the months or something, you know. I have no idea. Or maybe we do like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, you know. Very too businessy, maybe too businessy.
It might be too businessy. We'll have to come up with something fun. But that's an excellent point. And that was really fun to see this time, was the variety of submissions. Mm-hmm. Exactly opposite season, which was a good reminder to us, as you said, this is a global program. Absolutely. So here we are, Farmcraft 2024. This is our summer showcase. And it is just I love it when we get to describe what a program is like, but you know what I really, really enjoy is seeing what the students come up with. And as always, they have wowed us. So let's go ahead and give a quick recap of what was Summer Farmcraft about? Summer/winter Farmcraft all about?
So we introduced 2 challenges, and the first one, which is what we're going to share a lot of today, was the Build a Market Challenge, where the goal was to explore your local markets, investigate what kind of variety of food you could find there, whether it was labeled as organic or conventionally bred and grown, or if there was any GE applied to the particular product as it was grown and for what purpose. And then produce a recording of a Minecraft world that demonstrated all of your findings. But it didn't have to just be a recording, right? We had some options this time where we said, yeah, we love when you give us the videos, but if you want to do it as like a blog or a PDF, or if you want to like write it up and include photos and examples and slide decks or whatever it is you want to do, we just want to hear from you. And the cool part is you totally delivered. We've got so many different options to look at today. So we're going to see some highlights of some of the video content. I really do want to highlight one particular video thing that we've never discussed. And it was like such an aha moment that, of course, the kids taught me something that we need to address in Farmcraft, which I love. And then we're going to take a look at some of those examples that are from let's say the non-traditional ways of submission, because they're not videos. We've got some of those documents and those blogs and those slide decks, and we want to take a look at them. As for the coding camp challenge, which was challenge 2, some of you are just getting back to school. That program launched, using the game code curriculum right when we launched that challenge. So we're going to leave that one open. Keep submitting. We love to see what you create, and we're going to be really excited to share some of those things throughout the fall season and even into next season, because it's not just about what we create. It's about what you create. We love highlighting what you create.
I'm sorry. I know you guys do amazing stuff. My favorite part is seeing what the kids do with it, how they take it and they run with it. That is the best.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So as Eric said, we're going to start with a highlight reel. So we have compiled video submissions showing us what you built in Farmcraft. And so, in Minecraft for farming, not built in Farmcraft, built in Minecraft for farming. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and roll this video and take a look. If you participated, keep your eyes wide open. You might see yourself here.
Aquí están donde venden frutas, la manzana y la mandarina. Aquí es donde venden verduras, cebolla, papa y zanahoria. Las frutas generalmente se cultivan cultivan en lugares cálidos, como pueden ser los lugares de Beni y Santa Cruz, que son los lugares de Bolivia, algo que se me había olvidado mencionar. Soy de Bolivia. Y esos camiones transportan las frutas a Bolivia, a La Paz, que es mi ciudad.
In Shimonoseki City, there are about 20 stores where you can buy fresh and safe local foods, called direct sales stores of agricultural products. There are two main characteristics of direct sales of agricultural products. The first is that you can see the producer's face. Direct sales outlets allow farmers to sell their produce to consumers without having to go through a middleman.
Cuenta. La mandarina fue cultivada en los yungas y cuesta $1 cada una. Las uvas fueron cultivadas en Tarija y cada quintal cuesta 18 bolivianos. Los plátanos se cultivaron en los yungas y en Cochabamba y cada plátano cuesta 60 centavos.
Here is our main market building, and we have peaches here as well as all these other lovely crops, these produce for sale. If we come over here, then you'll find this cafe, and there's a lot of like sweet treats here that you can get. And then you can like sit here and like eat.
Como vemos, aquí tenemos este mercadito que está al aire libre, no tiene techo ni nada. Y aquí tenemos un puesto en donde un señor está vendiendo azúcar, el cual el quintal está a 260 bolivianos y viene de un ingenio azucarero. Aquí tenemos una vendedora que está vendiendo productos como podrían ser dulces, chicles, etc.
We noticed a pattern when we were looking at their produce and noticed most stalls were predominantly in-season vegetables. More specifically, right now it is winter in Australia, so a lot of our vegetables were root vegetables. We did a Google search on winter vegetables and discovered that these vegetables have a stronger ability to withstand the colder weather. We saw lots of beetroot, potatoes, pumpkins, carrots, and cauliflowers.
Primero, en acá esta personita está vendiendo papa, en acá zanahoria y diferentes variedades. En acá hay otra persona que vende papas, manzanas, otros tipos. En acá hay un auto que está trayendo sandías, calabazas, beterraga, zanahoria y otros tipos.
Orange County orange, specialty for the best. $0.99 per pound.
There's a label on that orange saying it's natural. Why is it not organic?
There's difference between natural and organic. Although both of them require no artificial ingredient or added color, natural crops may contain minimum percent per pound.
What about other crops? Watermelon, potatoes, sugarcane.
Unfortunately, they're all in past seasons. Watermelon is summer, potato is warm season, and sugarcane is from summer to early fall.
Por aquí habría una carnicería. Aquí habría carne de pescado, de pollo, de res y de cerdo. La carne de pescado estaría 45 bolivianos y se encontraría en el departamento de Pando.
Welcome! Yay! So we have cherry blossom saplings here, I guess, because they grow a lot of. I know that they grow a lot of those in Middle Georgia. They have like a whole festival about them. So this is, and they also have some cute little merch for the market over here, which is nice. And ooh, handmade candles. And there's some other stuff back here. Flowers. And a little place where you can sit and eat your food. And look out at this cute little koi pond. So that's cool.
Les vamos a mostrar nuestro mercado del lugar donde vivimos. En nuestro mercado, todos los alimentos son naturales, es decir, son orgánicos.
This is the Minecraft version of the Lake Forest Certified Marketplace. It's open Wednesdays 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and all the produce are organic. The melons are $10.99 and the pumpkins are $7.99. The honeycombs in bottles are $6.99. The carrots and beets are $3.50 and $2.79. All the produce is from farms in Lake Forest and near Lake Forest.
Oh my gosh. I love those. Okay, I love that a few of them had a cafe or a place to sit and enjoy the food, which is always a thing that I love to do when I go to a farmer's market. I also noticed someone that had they had straight sugar, but then also you could buy candy, and I thought, yeah, I think I would go for the candy. I want mine processed and mixed into the way that I'm going to consume it. But what a neat variety of crops and processes that were included there. That was fantastic.
So many of them, really delivered in terms of they talked about what the price was in their area. They talked about where it was sourced from. Some of them talked about whether it was organic or all natural or however it was labeled, and tried to make the distinctions between those labelings and if and what those labelings actually mean. So it was really great to see. Loved all of the submissions. And again, we had some teams that talked about here's what's growing right now. Not in the summer, but in the winter, because where they are, it's winter right now in the Southern Hemisphere. So they had to say, okay, I know this is Summer Farmcraft Challenge, but it's our winter. So we're going to tell you what's growing now, what's available now, and why. And we saw some of the teams from Australia and Bolivia and so on do that exactly that, because it's their winter time right now. So of course, the crop seasons are going to be totally different from what we've got in the Northern Hemisphere. However, there was one team and one thing I really want to showcase. I saved it. It's not in that video. We have talked about so much in Farmcraft. We've been through 4 seasons now of Farmcraft, and we've talked about, pesticides and herbicides and the use of them. We've talked about, protecting our crops and delivering crops to market. And we've talked about genetic engineering of crops and why and the purpose and whether or not we, so many topics, so many. And we talked so much about transportation. And the transportation was like, how do we get the crops from the farm to the market? What's that whole process look like? We even spoke to experts on some of the streams about this.
Right.
But there's one thing we never talked about. And it was I cannot believe the kids figured this out. And we haven't even discussed it yet because we haven't really said, oh yeah, we should of course talk about that. And that is, yes, we have to get the crops to market. How do we get the people to the market to get the food in the first place?
Exactly.
Right? Because if the people can't get to the market, then there's no reason to have a market. And one team totally saw that, realized that, and addressed it in their video. And I'm going to mispronounce their name. They are from Australia. Tulialan, I believe it was. Tulialan Esports?
Tulialan?
Or Tulialan
Esports? We've been trying to sound it out. I hope we did okay.
Yeah, yours sounds much better. You can tell you in the chat, they can tell us which one is right. But we just want to share one clip. We already shared a clip from their video in the stream or in that highlight reel, but I want to share one more from them that talks exactly about that. The idea that you have to get not only the goods to the market, but you've got to get the shoppers to the market as well.
Right.
Another exciting feature we wanted to include was a tram. Melbourne is a very busy city with a population of more than 5 million people. Most people, us included, access this market by tram or by public transport. Take a look.
We have thoroughly enjoyed this challenge, and we have learnt that most of our crops are organic and naturally grown. Most of Melbourne's produce is grown in Victoria, with a small amount being imported from overseas. How competition can determine the price of products, especially in markets such as the Queen Victoria Market. What seasons different produce is grown in, and how this can affect their price.
Thank you so much for letting us show you our market. We enjoyed learning about produce and the different ways produce can be grown/modified. We hope you enjoyed the tour of our market.
And of course, their KWL chart. And there was even more KWL chart to come because, like the kids really saw this whole concept through, which was so cool. But now I feel like in the future, we've talked about food accessibility so much in Farmcraft. We have to say, yes, there are markets. Yes, is this accessible at your market? But do you even have access to your market? How do you get there? Do the people in the communities get to the market to have access to it in the first place? It's like we missed the first step in this whole process of like, how do we just get the humans to the place where the food is? So
you know what I love too?
Thank you, kids. Thank you.
Yes, the kids teach us again, as it should always be. We're learning from the participants. I loved that they pointed out that they're taking public transportation, because a lot of what we talk about in Farmcraft is in your growing, how are you impacting the environment? But the reality is it's not just the growing that impacts the environment. It's all aspects of the process, including how do you get there? So yes, fantastic.
Yep. All right. So
Schooled
now,
again.
Always schooled. If Brian was here, he'd have some new terms that he'd be studying and researching right now. But let's now take a look at some of the less traditional submissions, right? We left that opportunity open that you could give us a PDF or a document or a blog or a slide deck of the information that you learned with images of your creations and things like that and how it all came together and showing your learning process throughout. And we got a few of these. Yes. So we're going to start with one from Melbourne, Australia again. And of course, the first thing they talk about is that it's winter there. And we think Australia is the best place to be in winter because they have a variety of foods, including apples, avocados, bananas, grapes, lemons, dates, and a lot more. Yeah, sounds awesome. Now I know to visit when I go, on a summer trip, I can go there and boom, now it's a winter trip and there's good eats apparently.
And there's good food, avocados in winter. I love that.
Yeah,
Here we go, apples.
Right, so here are some of the ones that grow in their winter. So in the season they're in right now.
Right.
They made their stall and priced it. I do want to point out this is in Australian dollars. So for those who are in the US, don't panic. That is a kilo, I think, of strawberries. So I think we did the math on that. It came out to about $14 US.
Right. Yeah.
Which, if they're high quality strawberries is not too far fetched.
Yeah.
Other prices seem reasonable. And that's where they bring us to some images of their Minecraft worlds and what they've created. Yeah. Which is really cool. And I like that they took this to writing, and even included some handwritten photos of their KWL charts, which is really, really cool.
Winter. Okay, so they wanted to know what grows in winter, and they definitely learned that. Awesome.
They did.
Fruit markets are inside. Good idea in the winter. Wow.
Yeah. So some of their, and even, some of it comes from 100 kilometers away or even more.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're learning, they learned the prices of their food. They learned what foods grow in what seasons. Really exciting stuff. Love the way they presented it. And I like seeing the handwriting of kids. Like, no matter what, I'm like, I love seeing it. Like, and trust me, no matter what your handwriting looks like, I have a doctor whose handwriting looks worse. So don't you worry.
I have a husband whose handwriting looks worse.
There you go. So you're doing awesome. From there, we've got another one. This one is from a team here in the US in Georgia. And they really dug into some of the research. So they actually got to interview a farmer, which is really cool. So they visited and they interviewed farmers. They learned some of the crops that grow in their area, the specialty crops such as peaches, pecans, and peanuts. And if you are from the US, you probably associate these three, with Georgia very specifically. I know I do, even though there is this one particular kind of peach that grows only where I live in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Georgia is still the peach state. We know that. You win. I'm not competing. I'm not trying to compete.
I like what they pointed out here that the products that they're discussing don't have a lot of harsh chemicals or preservatives because they're not coming from a long way. So it's not just the fact, but it's why is that fact important? And we
Right,
talked
and they
about
don't-
that in our transportation year, where, how far is it going, and is it going to spoil on the way?
Yeah, that's that last sentence they have in there, right? Is like that it had a chance to ripen sort of on the vine or on the plant before it was picked for longer, because if it has to go a long distance, then it needs to be picked earlier, which means it's not ripe at all when it's picked and ripens during transportation, which isn't always the best for flavor or for quality, but it is good for getting a healthy product to the market as opposed to a spoiled product to the market.
Right.
So that's really cool. And then, they've built their design. So here's an aerial view of their design.
Cool.
Here are some close-ups of their market locations along with the products and the prices, some additional prices there, and a tavern that's selling farm-made products. So, but for the record, for anyone who has driven through Georgia, if you've ever had the privilege of driving through Georgia, you will know, like, everywhere on the highway, you will see, like, there's a market right off the highway that's like, we're selling pecan pies and peach preserves and everything else made with those products, or boiled peanuts. And it's one of my favorite things about driving through that area is, of course, I want to stop and I want to sample all of those things.
Everything.
Yep. And of course, they even included some of the vertical farm from our Farmcraft season.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Right. Historical parts that are part of it. Additional market locations. Some of the livestock. And of course, amusement for some of the kids.
Yes.
You gotta have fun for the kids while the parents shop.
Yes.
All right, so we have one more, and it's a submission type I don't think we've ever gotten before. So super excited about it. They didn't make a slide deck in the traditional sense. They didn't do it in PowerPoint or in Google Slides. They did it in Canva, which really does give you like this creativity aspect that you can apply to some of your presentations. So if you're not familiar with Canva, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Canva, and they took that to heart, this team. So here are the orange mangoes from Australia. And yeah, there's slides, there's audio rip.
Love it.
Where they're from. And we can jump the slides, which is great, so we don't have to watch this as a video, but we can kind of progress through it. Cool animations in between.
Wow.
They tell us a little bit about the farmers markets in their area. They really did their research, right? Like, you can look at this and go, like, they know the number of markets available in that area, which is a very large, urban area. They talk about, what the financial aspects of the industry are, how many jobs it's producing. They did their homework.
And 3 out of 4 meet or exceed organic standards. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a big chunk, right? So this is what they wanted to include in their design of their market. So they've given us like this whole, like, step by step. We did our research, we planned, here's their planning. Right, they figured out which vegetables grow in Australia and where they're coming from, so they can include them in their market. Right, so a lot of them are locally grown. Right, reduces that transportation need.
Yeah.
And then they talk about not just the vegetables but the fruits as well.
Yum.
I know, right? Wait, there's a fun fact here about raspberries.
Okay.
I didn't know they were in the rose family. Did you know this?
I
knew
had
they came
no
in different
idea.
colors.
It makes
I did not
sense
know
now that
that.
I think about it. Yeah.
They figured out their prices. So they did their homework on the prices. And how cute are like these little
Wowza,
emojis
broccoli.
and stuff, right?
Broccoli and papaya, but those are loaded with vitamins too.
And then finally, like, here's the photos of their builds. So they took all of those ideas, brought them together into their market and their market stands. Really cool. So I love seeing this because this really shows like the progression of progress from like research to conceptualization to build. And I love that.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I like the people lined up to buy things. I wonder what they're selling over here, because big line.
Papaya. I'm going with papaya.
You're going to go with papaya?
Yeah. All right.
Love
the
it.
roof is clear glass.
And then we've got our KWL.
KWL.
Gotta love it.
Excellent. Wow. What a fun season this was. We had different kinds of participation. We had kids teaching us to remember to think about how do the people get there to shop. I mean, this is fantastic.
So many fun entries, to look through. Lots of fun stuff and so much diversity in it, you know. It was really great to honestly hear some of the various like language entries that we got. And, you know, yes, we did like the auto-generated subtitles on that so that everyone who's watching, you know, would have an opportunity to understand. Myself included, I'm not a native Spanish speaker. There are native Spanish speakers in my house. I am not one of them, I'll confess. But it adds such a distinction to what we're talking about. You know, both some of our English speaking entries and some of our Spanish speaking entries we're talking about, and I'll use quotations here, bananas, but I know that's not the same banana. You're right. There's such a variety of that product, right? So it's not necessarily the same product, you know, so we have to look at it regionally. Really important.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you all for participating this summer/winter Farmcraft season.
There were a lot of winter entries, so I think it's fair to do the slash, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of winter entries, and you know, I just have. We think from our own perspective. Sometimes we need to broaden a little bit. So I'm with you. We'll come up with another name, but in the time being, before we have another name for it, right now we're planning Fall Farmcraft, which is the upcoming season of Farmcraft. So it will be the Fall/Spring Farmcraft that we will be running, and we will announce all the details on October 1st. But I want to tell you something that I'm really excited about. You just mentioned people speaking Spanish and people from different parts of the world. Wouldn't it be fun to meet each other? Not just to watch each other's videos, but to meet each other. And so coming this fall, we're going to have a few virtual exchange opportunities for the students to get to have a conversation with each other. And we all know you like Minecraft and you like Farmcraft, so we'll have some things in common to discuss. But definitely stay tuned for October 1st when we announce all the details of this Fall/Spring. That is a mouthful. Fall/Spring Farmcraft. And thank you so much for participating. We will see you again soon.
Can't wait. Take care, everyone.